Hello. I didn't really intend to be doing this tonight, so this is kind of impromptu. Maybe the best journals are that way. Um, I've been kind of, retreating, not doing a lot of journals. I've been watching other people's videos and looking at the comments that people are leaving and in the messages that I get. And I keep hearing people are hurting and having a hard time with it, kind of reaching out from being in that place. And I just thought I'd share. I, uh, I mean, there's plenty of hurt on the path, um, even for those of us that don't really look at it as a path anymore. Waking up, I have found anyway, hurts. Not totally, but there are phases and stages, you could say, or things that we need to wake up to that we've kind of hidden from ourselves, maybe for a very long time, maybe for many lifetimes, just because it was so painful. And we didn't have any really good strategy or constructive way to look at it, much less deal with it. So in those cases, sometimes it's really better to just try to get on with your life. And you'll come to it when you're ready to come to it, and you'll deal with it then. Well, I think for a lot of us, that's now. For whatever reason, the rising frequencies and energies, probably, a lot is coming up for us, and it's kind of hurting. And I guess what I wanted to share, if I could, is why I don't hurt so much anymore. I still have loads of pain. You'll catch me crying now and again and so on, but it's not anymore an overwhelming weight and burden. Instead, that's almost therapeutic. I mean, it's good. What comes up and then working through what comes up is a really positive thing. And so I have a whole different take on life, a whole different attitude, and so on now. And if I could share even the smallest bit of that, I don't know how it came on me or I came on it or anything. I mean, we don't set out and decide, well, I'm going to have such and so attitude and I'm going to, that's way too theoretical. Life is dirtier than that. You bump up against what you bump up against and you do your best in the moment. But one thing that I see in everyone is that we're already perfect. And that's a huge thing right there. It's not that that means that we have this perfection manifest fully here in 3D. Personally, I don't think perfection can fully show itself in 3D. It would probably short circuit the whole wavelength or whatever, you know? Um, so maybe we can say, just as a way of looking at it, our perfections in higher dimensions or something. I don't know. A lot of that's only words. The bottom line, though, is that you're perfect now, right now. And there's not anything you have to gain. There's not anything that you're missing. There's not anything that you've ever done wrong. I'm still looking forward to the day when I can have the experiential understanding that divine vision gives us, that nothing ever really happened. Nothing was ever even really created. Um, Not there yet, I don't see it fully, but there are masters that I trust, in particular Papa G, that do see this. And so I can take it on faith for a certain distance, and it proves itself out or it doesn't. People might wonder, like with my last journal that I just uploaded tonight, it's the third one from January 16th. And in a way, so much that's said in that one, including the reading from Nothing Ever Happened, invalidates the previous one. It can be seen to invalidate the whole way I was looking at things and doing things. And I thought I would share that just because someone is my teacher or guru, and just because I accept that one completely, doesn't make me into some kind of a robot. I still have to do my own awakening. And so just because Papa G says something doesn't mean I'm totally on board with it. I'd like to be, but we're all getting much better at being true to what's inside of ourselves. And this has been my secret. Ever since I discovered that all I have to do is be true to me, and that's really it. And everything else kind of like takes care of itself. That's magical. That's totally magical because we can all be true to ourselves. And at times we'll find ourselves, it'll look like by being true to yourself, you're hurting someone else. And you might feel bad about that, and yada, yada, yada. We get ourselves into all kinds of relationships and situations, and it's not easy. And I'm no expert on that. Hermits are not experts on relationships, okay? So, but maybe with a little bit of distance on whatever the relationship thing is that we're looking at, maybe if we can back off from it a bit, what I seem to be able to see is that when you've got situations like that, what you're dealing with is expectations, usually both yours and someone else's. And expectations are anathema. Expectations are like a dirty word to me at this point. They totally muck things up. That's all they're good for. I don't find anything at this point useful at all in having expectations. Uh, and see, even when I visualize the new world and what I want it to be like, and I pour my loving attention and my energy into that, that doesn't mean I expect that. I'm not doing that thinking, well, I'm going to put X amount of energy into it and it's going to be really strong, powerful energy and that's going to make it happen. That's BS that comes straight from mind. See, expectations are every one of them lodged within the mind. And I don't know how to see time exactly right. I just know that the way we see it in 3D isn't right. And it isn't right in every possible way. I mean, if you could see something wrong, the way we look at time is wrong. And I think we could even back into that just by looking at the whole Gregorian calendar thing. And there were literally millions of people, natives mostly, shaman, wise people, well-educated people, that were murdered in order to enforce the Roman Catholic Church's idea of a calendar, whether it be Julian or Gregorian or whatever. The people were not allowed to keep their understanding of time. And so we have this massive thing that's kind of forced itself on the world. And I think we ought to be rightly suspicious of that. Now, science has shown us, as a for instance, that time is simultaneous, that everything's happening now. I find that in my own personal experience, for what it's worth, and in the world of science, that's exactly zero. But in my world, my personal experience of life is what counts, and it's really all that counts. I'm learning to take everything else with a major grain of salt and just be true to myself. And so in my experience, I find it works. Those lifetimes are now. Whenever I have um, a reincarnation memory, it doesn't come across as a memory. It comes across like I'm living this now. I'm having this experience. I'm having all the feelings and everything that go with it. So it's very much, it's current. And so it's a whole nother way of looking at things, because I'll frequently say, okay, spread your wings, back off from the body and the mind that you're wearing or that you're using now. And who am I? Well, at a minimum, I know I've had loads of lifetimes, so let's expand out into that. Let's own it. And let's say those are other aspects of who and what I am. Well, I want to call on that. I want to take advantage of that. I mean, look at what you've gained in one lifetime, especially if you're like, 40 or above. You've learned a lot. And multiply that by endless lifetimes practically for the old souls among us. And you've got to respect just the learning that we get in any one lifetime. There's a wisdom that we gain. A lot of it's just experience, but it culminates in a kind of wisdom. Well, what if we could access the highest and the best of the wisdom that we've gained in all of our lifetimes? I say, why not? I mean, why accept any kind of limits at all? If we're creator gods, then let's be that. Let's crash down whatever barriers there are to us being the finest that can be. We're here to serve. Okay. Let's call upon all of our resources to do that. But above all, let's get out of the little bitty box that we've all been put into of not good enough, not good enough looking, not smart enough, not rich enough, not whatever it is, just not enough. That's the whole commercialism thing. They want to market you by making you feel inadequate, and then they have the answer, of course, and it only costs $9.99 or whatever. So I have found, by backing way off of that kind of crap, that you do the walls in the cage come tumbling down. Slow, sometimes fast, sometimes we get into a blue funk. But if you're going to have to be in a blue funk one way or another, you might as well be in a blue funk with your wings expanded out and not all strapped down and hidden away to where you don't even know that you have them. And you're perfect already. There's literally nothing wrong with you. This is a dream world, and I've said this in a number of videos. This is truly a dream world. Personally, I think it becomes obvious the minute we know beyond the shadow of a doubt that an atom is empty space. And then we have this experience where you can break your fist smashing it into supposedly empty space. There's some level of dreaming that's going on here. It's not real, because atoms really are empty. And so what gives? There's a book, a little audio book that's all of 1 hour, called Lucid Living. I forget the guy's name now. He's British, but it's very good. You'll find the text to it on my scribed.com account. My name there is Deep Peace. And there's a lot of goodies in there. I've got a collection of books labeled Favorites and Fun, and you'll find a lot of really, really wonderful things there that will pick you up. I think it's really good. Santos Bonacci is somebody that I spend a lot of hours listening to. He's very generous. He gives lectures. He has studied and acquired for himself what almost amounts to a classical education, and nobody gets that anymore because that means you're well versed in basically everything. You're well read, you know several languages, yada yada yada. Um, it education today is a joke compared to what it has been even in the recent past. Even if you just go back a century, that's not very long. Education had a different meaning entirely. He's educated himself really well, and he's read ancient masters. He's following his bliss. He's following his heart, the thing that draws him most. And he's managed to read some of the finest philosophers and theologians and wise people. And he's wonderful. And why did I bring him up? I don't know. There's so much that's negative available now. And we get this whole duty bound thing where we think we have to stay informed. And I mean, it's bad enough in the regular media. We finally learned to pull away from that because it's just BS. And it's just to keep us in fear and anxiety and feeling inadequate so that we're really good buying machines. So we pull away from that. But then when we go to the alternative media, well, we do begin to get some truth, only it's really not very easy to swallow. It's just difficulty after difficulty when we really begin looking at all these things that have crept up on us, all around us, and it feels like the world's been taken over, and we were out to lunch, and oh my God, what do we do now? And all the problems are too big. Well, that's bullshit. Hopefully that will set your bullshit bells ringing. There's a truth detector in your heart, and the other side of that coin is your BS detector. Anything whatsoever that you're doing that's making you feel like that, my suggestion is stop, back off, push pause, whatever. Go take a walk, get a drink of water, get some distance. It's either your old programming that's being stirred up, which can be a good thing. We need to look at that because we need to clean it up and deal with it. Or it might be something that's trying to program you now, and we don't need anymore. We really don't. So my suggestion is going to be, everybody have a good resource. What I've done on Scribed is I've got, I don't know, it's probably over 100 books. It's a set of references in a collection called Favorites and Fun that are uplifting. For the most part, everything there is a pick-me-up. It's so important that we're sensitive to the self. You've got to be the best lover of yourself. You've got to be gentle. We've all got to learn to really care for and respect the self. And we don't do this by burying our noses in so much that's negative. It's hard enough just to keep the head above water here in 3D when you're a light being. It's not an easy tour of duty we're on. And so I say we have to spend an equal amount of time immersed in things that are elevating, that are a pick-me-up. Even with my alternative media anymore, I try not to listen to people that, if they're going to present truth, I'm interested. But if they're not going to present a positive outlook on it, a way to work with it, a way to transcend it, if they're not going to go there with me, I might not really be interested so much in what they have to say. We don't all have to know everything. There's a lot of us. All we have to do is follow what our heart calls us to do. There's no need for you to master everything. There's no need for you to be up on every topic. Let somebody else specialize in some things, and then go to their website to get their take on it. Somebody you trust. For instance, I like the Truther Girls. I like Sonia, and her hubby and her friends. And, you know, she is as on top of things as you want to find when it comes to vaccines and the whole vaccination deal. You find people, there's another lady in Canada, I can't think of her name, something be traders beware. You know, there are people that it's their heart's call to specialize in something. We'll let them right through the muck on what it's their joy to pursue and understand. And let's begin coming together as a community and not being so hard on ourselves that we think we have to be up with it on everything. Um, just as ridiculous, for instance, I grew up without ever really plugging into the whole music scene. So even though I was born in 52, I'm illiterate when it comes to the music of my very own day and age. When I did listen to it, I wasn't good at getting the lyrics very well. I never got into it. I wasn't curious. I didn't pursue it. It never affected me. Well, I don't feel like I've got to go out now and make up for that. I don't feel like I have to look intelligent in front of somebody. I don't care what other people think. I know what I know. I am what I am. I've studied what I've studied, and I'm really very happy. And if somebody else can see me, they're going to see that and they're going to feel that, and it's going to feel good to them. And it's going to nurture what's inside of them that resonates with it, you know, which is just complete. We've got to learn to give ourselves complete and total freedom to be who we are, to know that we are good enough, and to follow our bliss. There, I'll try and keep it relatively short. Love you guys.